The Supreme Court this week heard arguments on striking down the federal ban on sports gambling, and our own degenerate gambler, Steve Moskowitz, is here to discuss what happened Monday and what's going to happen from here on out. Welcome back.
Always a pleasure. So basically, it's a little bit technical. We have a boxing match between the 10th Amendment and the Commerce Clause. Essentially, what that says is 10th Amendment is the federal government, in theory, and a lot of people argue over this, is only supposed to deal with items in the Constitution. Everything else is left between the states. The Commerce Clause says that the federal government has to regulate commerce between the states. So the battle is, should the state have the right, should the Fed have the right? In reality, the justices can do whatever they want. And they're going to decide, are they going to let New Jersey and a whole bunch of other states have the gambling? I personally think it's a great idea because, first of all, it would cut down on the illegal gambling. It would make money for the states. And especially now when our Congress, in their infinite wisdom, is getting ready to take away the tax deduction for our state income taxes, which really affects a lot of states, especially the blue states. This would be an opportunity for the states to rake in a lot of money, and then maybe they could bring down the state taxes.
There are 4 states now that have legal sports gambling: Montana, Nevada, Delaware, and the 4th is escaping me. And New Jersey brought this suit, and they didn't bring it on behalf of any of the other 32 states that showed interest in doing this. They brought it on behalf of themselves.
Sure.
Could they have done it on behalf of other states, or is the presumption that if they win and they're allowed to have legalized gambling, legalized sports gambling in New Jersey, that any other state that wants it can do it whenever they like?
Kind of yes to both, because if the Supremes say that it's okay for New Jersey, then it would be very likely those states to say, see, that's a settled issue. On the other hand, New Jersey could have gotten together with a bunch of other states, not representing them, but joining with them and say, look, we have a lot of states here that are very interested in this. It's going to have a major impact in our country.
Now, in our other case involving the gymnastics doctor, Larry Nassar.
That's really horrible.
It's a horrible case, and a federal judge did declare him a threat to children and sentenced him to 60 years in prison on child pornography charges.
It's consecutive. That means one term starts being
it's a life sentence.
Yes.
He's 54. But the civil lawsuits now that will be headed his way, and we're talking about more than 140 girls and women who have accused him of sexual abuse, and not only Gymnastics USA team members, but also Michigan State athletes, because he was employed by them. In terms of the burden of proof, obviously, is much less in a civil lawsuit. So how liable will Michigan State be, and USA Gymnastics and the U.S.
That's the real question,
OC.
and where the money is going to be. Because with the good doctor, he's going to run out of money very quickly, and once he's out of money, you can sue him all you want and get all the judgments. It doesn't matter. But here, what you're going to take a look at is you look at the organizations. If I was the lawyer for the young ladies, I'd say, look at the organizations. The basic problem was nobody listened to these women. They said, oh, you know, listen, the doctor's valuable, you're not. And that is the problem. So what their lawyers are going to do, I would think, is go ahead and say, wait a minute, you had a duty, you ignored it, these women were damaged, you pay up, and there's a lot more money there. And then it's going to be a question of how far down the line do you have the responsibility, both for individuals and the institutions.
So once he runs out of money, and let's say in the case of, just to pick one, Michaela Maroney, she sues U.S. Gymnastics. Could she also sue the U.S. Olympic Committee, which is basically, you know, they're the ones that these athletes are performing toward? Or is it literally limited to the fact that he worked for U.S. Gymnastics?
Oh, she's going to sue all of them at the same time, and they're going to put everybody they can in. And then where the fight's going to be is how far down the line can you have responsibility. That's where the money is, and they're going to bring in a whole bunch of parties and say, you didn't do your job.
One thing I was looking at, though, was the Title IX aspect of this, and the fact that USA Gymnastics, USOC, they are not educational institutions. So they could try and establish that he wasn't actually their employee, even though they hired him to help with their Olympics in their team. But Michigan State is an educational institution. Are they in more trouble then?
They're all in trouble. There's a principle called respondeat superior, which means basically if you hire somebody, you're responsible for him. So if I hire someone and then that person attacks a client or somebody in the building, they're going to come and say, hey, you're running the company, you should have done something. Now, it's also going to depend. The best defense would say, well, look, this guy's been working with me for 30 years. Nothing has ever happened. I have no reason to believe that. On the other hand, if several people came in and say, look, this guy claimed he was going to give me a medical exam and he molested me. If I'm on notice and I don't do something, I'm in big trouble and I better get the checkbook out.
It's a disturbing case.
It's a horrible case.
All right, Steve Moskowitz. Better stories maybe next time.
I'm looking forward to that. Some good, juicy
More
tax
positive.
stories, which gets everybody's
Tax
blood
news.
flowing.
I thought the gambling story was very ennobling.
Oh, yeah, that's shocking. Mr. Gambler over here. Billy the Beast. You can always check his podcast out on our website. All right, still to come, Jimmy Garoppolo, high praise for his receiving core, while the Raiders may be without their Pro Bowl receiver, Amari Cooper. We'll discuss next on the Happy Hour.